I love you. Stars above you shine like wine. Girl, you be fine. Can you see he loves you, bitch? I love you, bitch. I love you, bitch.
You and D and the baby makes three.
Baby makes three.
The hot ones in the button. You best not.
Hey, what's up, you guys? I just come back from seeing The Iron Claw. Man, this movie, it's pretty interesting with this movie because I remember when I was a kid, I was into wrestling for like about probably like 7, 8 years. Like being a little kid, my dad kind of liked it a little bit. It's interesting because when I was a kid, it was like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Junkyard Dog, Honky Tonk Man, Jimmy Fly Snuka, shit like that. But Hulk Hogan was the man. And it's like, I remember my dad and everyone telling me about the Von Erich family.
Jack Jr., only 7 years old, was accidentally electrocuted. For simple surgery, somehow he contracted toxic shock syndrome. Once again, a son snatched, a brother buried. Fritz gathered his surviving 3 boys, Big Kevin, Texas Tornado Kerry, and little Chris. 4 years, only 2 would be with him. Chris was the smallest of the Von Erich. At 5'5" and only 80 kilos, Chris had to work the hardest to fight like his father and big brothers. Chris broke his elbow.
The doctor told him he just might never be able to go back into wrestling. He just destroyed Chris.
Chris went into the woods behind his family ranch, and just like his brother, he took his life. Now, Fritz Von Erich has but 2 sons left in his dynasty. Some call it the curse of the Iron Claw, but the Von Erichs don't look at life that way.
You survive because you're human beings and because life goes on.
These blows come, and we just stand up and roll with them.
Now, Kerry is gone. That leaves only Kevin, the second oldest, and now the last of the Fighting Von Erich boys.
But I ain't never seen him wrestle. People would talk about Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair. Who was the other guy? Bruiser Brody. I just remember my dad and a bunch of older people talking about people I'd never seen before. Dudes wearing like Dun-Dun-Duns or like the underwear type gear. Like when I was watching it, they were wearing pants and shorts and stuff like that. Some dudes throw the underwear like Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan and stuff, but for the most part, it was different kind of costumes. Everyone didn't kind of have the same kind of costume. Just roided up with fucking underwear on and shit. But you know, it's for the ladies, so I ain't mad at them. You gotta get asses in the seats, you know. But yeah, man, I've been waiting for this movie for a long time because I just remember a lot of people talking about the tragedies of the Von Erichs, how all the sons had died, killed themselves. It's interesting because when you're never there, or when you're not there, or when you're someone that experienced the family, compared to the family telling the story, I feel like you kind of lose something because the family is on the inside looking out, and they're always going to protect themselves. But the people on the outside looking in that experience the family, that are probably bullied and stuff, I had heard a lot of stories about the Von Erichs. I heard about like, now I don't know if any of this is true because I was just a kid. I just remember hearing people saying this, and I just remember like, who the fuck are these people? It was almost like they were a white Jackson family. Like when I was a kid, the Jackson family was black, and hella black people had different things to say. Some people, like some dads were like, Joe Jackson whipped those kids into stardom, and they should be happy that the dad did that. And then some people were like, well, Joe Jackson stole Michael's childhood, and all the boys had to have sex with girls and go on the road, and they didn't have childhoods. And it's like, it's interesting because I feel like becoming a child star could be the worst thing for anybody. I don't know if I don't know firsthand because I'm not famous, of course, but it seems like when you're a kid, the last thing you really need is power and money, because other people are going to take it away from you and use it against you. Like your parents are going to try and take it, you know, your lawyers. You basically become, instead of a kid, you become what I feel like adult grown men are. Even if you're a woman, I feel like you just become dispensable. Like it goes from we love you and need to take care of you to how can you take care of us? We had you. I feel like it's somewhere similar in that case. So I remember people saying the Von Erichs were like bullies. I remember people saying the dad used to like do wrestling moves on the kids and they were little, like chest slaps and stuff like that. Now I don't know if any of this is true because I don't know Fritz Von Erichs, the dad. I don't know any of the kids. I just know stories I was told. about like how these kids were hella huge and how they were taking steroids hella young. And all this is hearsay. I don't know. I just this is all allegedly, but I just heard that people just didn't like him, and like that's usually how it is when you have a lot of brothers or sisters. You guys are usually a big tight-knit family that nobody wants to fuck with, and you guys think, why does everyone not like us? But you guys are just beating people up, or if one person fucks with you, they fuck with the whole family. And I mean, that's family. So when you have a big family, it starts getting kind of crazy. But yeah, let's talk about the good stuff about the movie.
Those people loved Von Erich, and man, when they came out, the roof blew off that place.
So, in this movie, I thought all the acting was pretty damn good. I thought the dad played pretty good. You know what I thought? I thought Clancy Brown would have been a hella good ass dad. I thought in this movie because Clancy Brown has the nose already, and I kind of felt like he's kind of already big. But this dude right here, whoever played the dad, he was in pretty good shape for an old man, and he's pretty. I believed him. The mom, I thought she was cool as being like the distant mom. You know how moms usually are. You can't really. Once you get a little older as a man, you can't really talk to your mom anymore. She just says like kind of talk to your dad, or you know how moms are. They can't really say. That's what scares me about single mothers is that when you're a dude and you start asking your mom them real questions, she's just like, oh well, and it's like, nah, bitch, I need some answers, man. But it sucks. That's why you need a dad in your life. But yeah, I love the costumes. I thought they did the timing pretty good. It's hard because the family's really big, and I feel like Carrie, the actor who plays Carrie, is a hella good ass actor. But I feel like Carrie's very big. Like when I've seen him be the Texas Tornado. He's the one Von Erich that I actually didn't know was a Von Erich. I remember I've seen the Texas Tornado wrestle before. When I saw him wrestle, he was like at the tail end of his career. He would just run in the ring, just throw hella punches, and he would get beat up real fast or get pinned real fast or throw him back out the ring. He wasn't like a serious threat, but I'd never seen him wrestle in the beginning. I didn't know what a jobber was, but I feel like he might have been a jobber when I seen him. Just dudes that just basically get beat up and are just there for whatever their thing is. If it's for the girls, if it's to be mean, if it's to get the crowd riled up. I feel like he was kind of like in that era when I seen him. He wasn't. I definitely didn't know he had a fake leg or if he was missing a foot. I didn't know that. But yeah, unfortunately, in this movie, well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let me say all the good stuff. It's A24 Studios. You guys already know if you've seen any of my other reviews. That's the studio I fuck with right now. I feel like back in the day, studios, the main purpose was to hear good ideas and actually try and, if they had the money and it could make more money, do those ideas. And I feel like nowadays movies are just like, let's just do remakes, let's do reboots, let's do part 2s, part 3s, and let's not come up with anything original. I feel like A24, even though all their movies aren't sticking, these fools are just like, they remind me of Rockstar when they first came out, the video game company. They had Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas, they had Grand Theft Auto 3, they had Manhunt, they had a bunch of other little side games, and all these games had something good. The Warriors, it's like they were putting their money in different things, and it's the slow game because your money might not come back, but what you do is you build interest and you build a fan base, and that's what they've done with me. You know, the short word for fanatic is fan, and I feel like A24 has done enough to where until they really fuck me over or don't give me my money's worth in the sense of it's something unoriginal, not something bad. I mean, something bad is still original to me. It's like it didn't work. It's just like I tell a lot of jokes and stuff. I consider myself a wannabe comedian, and I have to try a joke for it to land. I can't just sit there within my head and not know if it's funny or not. And I feel like that's what A24 is. They have like some money. They remind me of Netflix when Netflix first came out. If you guys remember, Netflix had all these interesting shows, and they were kind of coming from every angle. Documentaries, drama, action. It was a little bit something for everyone. Now it's like Netflix to me feels like the top 10 movies and a bunch of just old movies put with it. It kind of has changed. But yeah, man, it's A24 Studios. I think they did a good job. The movie kind of touched my heart a little bit. I got a little teary-eyed, like a little shimmer of a tear right there because I have a brother too, and I haven't seen him in a long time. And this movie made me want to call my brother. And it's like, I think that was the intention of the movie, was to play on the heartstrings in that way. Not necessarily in a sad way, but more in a way of understanding, if that makes sense. It's like trying to see it from everyone's angle. And it sucks because I feel like when it comes to these guys, they never had a chance. Their dad was just a failed, not failed, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. He didn't accomplish what he wanted to. He accomplished a lot because I heard that he actually changed the game. I heard that, first of all, the mandible claw from Mankind, and I just heard that a lot of stuff that Von Erichs did, like their promos and a lot of stuff they did, like was kind of new, and it was like people had been doing it, but they kind of like made like wrestlers into rock stars. Where I feel like there was a couple of good wrestlers, they kind of made it mainstream, it seems like, and I mean, I can understand why. They look good for the girls. They were big ass dudes for the dudes. They actually put on a show. They were physical, and they were like second generation wrestlers. Their dad pushed them, so you know they had all the skills. They already knew all the stuff. They kind of had a head start over most wrestlers that probably just watch it on TV and don't have it in their home and have a dad pushing them and probably pushing them a little too hard. But I mean, they all kind of won belts, and it sucks. I don't want to. I don't look at it as a real spoiler because this is like a true story. So, you know, they all had like tragic endings except for the main one, the guy who plays Zac Efron, and it's kind of the American way. I mean, one of the last American things in a family is being a dad or a mom, is being able to push your shitty ideals and your shitty morals onto your kids. And I mean, it sucks if you don't agree with it, but that's their kid. And it's like, when you see a dad or a mom with a kid, or a guy with a girlfriend, or a girlfriend with a boyfriend, it's like, you have to remember that you're not a part of that. And sometimes on the outside looking in, it's hard to understand something. I know a lot of kids and a lot of women that say, well, my mom was like this with my dad, and my dad was like this with my mom, but they don't understand the relationship when the door closed. And that's a lot of things, that's a lot of times I feel like us as kids, now adults, need to understand, you know, relationships are weird, family is weird, and how people navigate and decide to accept those things and decide to interact with those things is up to them, you know? I've seen people at funerals go crazy and jump on the casket. Maybe they weren't doing what they should have did in their real life. Maybe they really loved the person. I've also seen people at funerals not cry at all and just be stone-faced and maybe cry later. It's like how we all decide to process things is different, but we all have to come up with that healing, and we all go through trauma. So in that sense, I felt like I could relate to this family in a sense of like I had a little bullshit with my family. Not the same as this, but I feel like we all, regardless of our race and our color, can kind of relate to that. Even if your family was hella too good and you had everything handed to you, that could be bad. You could be someone that doesn't understand the value of money, and someone who looks at people as, like I was saying, like what they could do for you. Where if you're broke, sometimes you don't have as much, but you value a lot more, and more people want to be around you and genuinely like you and care about what you have to say. So both of them are different paths that come to a conclusion that you can like or not like, but depending on the cards that we're dealt, it's like we don't really have a say. Our dads kind of let us go into, and then once we're in our moms, isn't it funny to you guys how, like, I don't know if you guys feel like this, but how you would think your mom and dad are like these smart gods that like have all this knowledge and know everything, but then when you get older, you're like, you motherfuckers are just faking it. You're just old kids, and you just had a bunch of kids and just were winging it. Which, I mean, I gotta respect that. But I remember when I was a little kid, I thought my mom and dad were like superheroes, and like when I became old, I was gonna like, my brain was gonna change, and I'm just the same Rob. I'm just older and fatter and balder. So yeah, let's talk about the bad, man.
Von Erich boys wanted to be just like Dad. Nothing could separate them until death came along.
Proud of all my kids. They were good kids, good athletes.
So in this movie, I felt like, and this is probably the best bad thing you can have, it just didn't get grimy enough. Like, this is actually almost a wholesome movie, and I understand why they didn't show us all the tragedies, because when you look them up, there's different stories coming from different people, but the people that had the story happen to them are dead now. So in a sense, being the director, if you want to make a movie that's going to piss everyone off, you could do what you heard from one person. But if you wanted to do a movie that might make everyone pissed off but everyone happy, you would sit there and try and leave it to interpretation, which is what they kind of do per each thing bad happening. Like when the one son had the gut problem in Japan, we're not in Japan, so we don't see what happens. That's kind of smart, because anything you do wrong with someone in Japan, they're going to have shit to be able to pick at your movie. The brothers, the dad, anything. Not the brothers, their dad, the one brother, I'm sorry. But at the same time, like when Kerry lost his leg, I looked at it, I heard it was a bad drug deal, I heard it was an accident, I heard a bunch of different things. So they don't really show you, they just show his foot gone. That kind of made sense to me, and it kind of didn't make sense to me. I want to give this movie a certain rating, but off top, and this is not the movie's fault, but it is the movie's fault, it's also my own morbid fascination. I thought for some reason A24 was going to get dirty with this movie. I thought they were going to really get grimy with the drug use. I heard there was going to be steroids in the Von Erichs. I heard there was abuse in the family. I heard there was a lot more sex with the family. Not saying inside the family, but I heard like the boys are fucking bitches. I heard the dad used to womanize. In this movie, they make the dad like he's hella nice and he's a good family man. They make all the brothers love each other. But where was the grime though? Like I really thought with when it said A24 Studios, I thought we were gonna see suicides happening, people shooting themselves. I thought we were gonna see the foot getting took off. Maybe that's too much, and maybe that wasn't the intent of the director. But when I saw A24 had this movie, I was like, well, why use that studio? Because where A24 is a great studio and this is a good movie, they didn't need each other to be great. This movie right here could have been done with any other studio, with the same actors, and it would still have been good, because A24 to me means it's going to dive into some shit we haven't seen, or it's going to make some new genres, or it's going to make definitive genres. It's like there's rap and then there's Beastie Boys. I look at Beastie Boys as rap, I look at them as insane rap, but I look at Beastie Boys as like party rap, almost like Cypress Hill. It's a rap album that everyone could dance to and smoke and kick it to, but it's not necessarily I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. There's actual instruments and stuff like that, and so that's why I look at it a little bit different. I feel like A24 Studios, when you see that name, you know you're gonna be diving into some shit, or it could get hectic. And I feel like this movie didn't do that. I felt like this movie, I wanted more grime, I wanted more sex, I wanted more, I wanted to see the death and stuff. But then again, I have to remember, I'm not part of this family and a part of this tragedy. So I have to respect that there was more powers that be besides myself and the regular people that want to watch this, and that this has to be a timepiece that can stand the test of time for anyone that knew these guys, and that these guys are dead. It's like I have to remember that also. It's like I have to make it like if this was my family, and it's like, well, let me give you an example. So the Queen movie came out not that long ago, Bohemian Rhapsody, right? I thought the movie was good. I didn't do a review on it, but if you guys care, I would probably give Bohemian Rhapsody like an 8, because I happen to think Queen is a hella cool ass band, and I learned about Queen at a very late age. I had heard their songs, but I didn't know about Freddie Mercury being gay and Brian May being a rocker dude. I didn't know about all that. So same thing with Bowie. When Bowie died, I actually heard him. I had heard a lot of his songs, but anyway, like the Liberace movie. That's what. Sorry, I got my train of thought. It's like Michael Douglas did the Liberace movie, and they got pretty crazy with it. Like I heard Liberace was, going to bathrooms, and I heard he was fucking out there. I heard he was like, he had his dude do plastic surgery to look like him, that guy he was having sex with. So it means he kind of wanted to have sex with himself. It's like they showed that shit, and I heard those stories, and I'm not saying they were all true, but in the Queen movie, I heard that they used to have midgets and dudes running around with ropes on their necks and chains, and I heard Freddie Mercury had some crazy parties. But then when you watch the movie Queen Bohemian Rhapsody, they kept it pretty straight line. He had a little, some gay stuff and everything, but it wasn't nothing like I thought they were going to get into, it was way more classy than I thought. And this movie is classy, so I'm not mad at it in that aspect. I was expecting us to go in a back door somewhere and see the bootleg purses. and see the killing and see some of the dirty shit. They hint at it. They did it in a very classy way. Small vignettes and little montages and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's like, man, I really wanted to see what happened to Kerry because he's in the WWF. I wanted to see what happened to the brother in Japan. I feel like they could almost do a part 2 that'd be grimy. I don't know if the brother would do it if they had enough money. Like if this movie made a lot of money, I feel like they could even have like if you think about it, this movie did Pearl and it did X first. I could honestly see, I'm not saying that they did this, but I can honestly see another part that they cut out, a lot of parts, and they made it for the next movie. And this is the Iron Claw, and something else is called, the Von Erichs or something. Because they were smart enough to not have shown us, almost like Reservoir Dogs. They didn't show us some of the main parts. It left it to our interpretation to where I would love another Reservoir Dogs. The guys are old now, but if you did different actors and you showed me what happened in the bank robbery and what happened on the ride over there and all that shit that you don't see, I mean, I'd be down for that ride too. So yeah, man, that's the bad thing, and that's actually a good thing about being bad is that the only bad thing I can say about this movie was I wanted more dirt. I wanted more grime. I wanted more disrespect, but at the same time, I'm being selfish. There's a family at stake here. There's the idea of how wrestling is supposed to look, and you don't want to tarnish any of those things. So when you're doing something like this, I would think the director was at odds ends. I would think that every phone call was someone trying to tell him to change the movie, or I remember this, or I remember that, or you did this wrong, or you did that wrong. It's like, so in that's what I think he did a good job. All right, let's go to final thoughts, you guys.
Class Championship Wrestling, right here from the Sportatorium, the most famous wrestling arena in the world.
People came from Japan, Israel, and they wanted to just see the Sportatorium.
So yeah, man, to wrap this movie up, I'm not mad at it. It was worth the wait. I'll probably watch it again. It was a little sadder than I thought, but not in the way I thought. I thought it was going to be more sad and like tragic. And it was more sad and done tastefully, so it was classy. This is something you can watch with your mom or your dad, where a lot of A24 movies you might not be able to watch with your mom or dad, or you might feel weird at certain scenes, like sitting there. I thought the sex scene was done good. I thought the brothers were done pretty good. It didn't get too sappy, because I know that the main brother that's alive really wanted us to know he loved his brothers, and we got it. And I like how Kerry wasn't there at first. He's in the Olympics. I learned stuff about the Von Erichs I didn't learn even when I looked them up. Like, I didn't realize that Kerry was only there because they canceled the Olympics, or else he would have had a whole different life and maybe never wrestled. The little brother only wrestled because the elder brother's gut got fucked up. He might have been a rock star, or he might have been a failed musician. Who knows? It's interesting that they showed us those things, because those things were tragic in themselves too. Those were other tragedies. So like, along with the suicide was the possibility of this, and none of them were happy and they didn't know what they wanted to. It sucks, man. If I ever have kids and I know I'm getting old, I'm not going to try and push my shit on my kids. If my kid wants to fight, cool. If my kid wants to fucking shit, even if my kid wants to be a fucking loser, I'm not gonna be happy with it, and I'm gonna try my hardest to fight it, but I'm not gonna like not love him and like start like belittling him and shit. I feel like the dad do that a little bit. But that's what dads have to do. Sometimes when you're a dad, you gotta kind of kick your son in the ass and show him no love, because once he leaves the house, no one's gonna love him like you. People are gonna try and hurt him. So I guess since I don't have a son, this movie made me kind of like look at that, because I mean, his sons were tough as fuck, and even though they died and it was fucked up, it was like they said it was a curse. I mean, shit, man, they're famous. They did have a time in the world where they were like rock stars. It just wasn't worth it, I feel like if you tell someone about steroids, hey, bro, you could do steroids. You'll be the world champion at 25 years old, but you're gonna die at 40. They're like, okay, cool, I'll be the world champion, but did you hear me? You're gonna die at 40. And I feel like with these OnlyFans girls and with these dudes nowadays, with the tattoos on their face and everything, they all want this quick little clout. But then you have the decisions that you made for the rest of your life. And I feel like the dad kind of fucked his family up, but it was his family to fuck up. That's the American way. So I'm not mad at the dad in that aspect, but if I was the son of the dad, I wouldn't like him. And if I was the dad itself, I would have thought I wasted my kids on some bullshit, because he had 3 sons that were like Adonises. They were like big dudes that were gonna slay girls, and they were gonna fucking, they could have did anything. He even had his own promotion with them, and he could have kept them safe and had them doing a couple fights every couple weeks or a fight every couple months, and they would have been fine like that. But he just had to have more and more. And the sad thing about it is the way the movie portrays it, the kids really didn't care. They were just doing whatever their dad wanted to. They were like, he could have said, go kill people, they would have been killers. He could have said, go play basketball, they would have tried it. He could have said, go do track, because, you know, Carrie was already doing discus. So, just a sad American tale, and just an all-around good movie. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And the only reason I'm taking 2 points away is because I wanted more grime. I wanted more killing. I wanted to see more suicide. I wanted to see more sex. That's just my own morbid self. When I saw A24, I was expecting something else. I got something else, which is what I wanted, but it wasn't something else I wanted. It's almost like you go to a pizza party, all the pepperoni's gone, but they have the veggie pizza or something, and you're like, fuck it, it's still pizza. It's still good as fuck too, but the meat on there would have just really made it better, or whatever topping is not there that you want. So 8 out of 10. Could have been a 10 out of 10 if it would have had a little bit more killing and stuff in it, but man, good movie. It was done good. I suggest anybody go see it that's watching this. If nobody's watching this, fuck it. And I'll see you guys next time. Later.
Let's check it out. That shit came off the top of my fucking head, y'all. Oh, God. Why? 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 It's a cosmic shame. Thank you.